All right, let's start. We're going to continue on with the movie comments or reviews or whatever you want to call them. And so yesterday we finished where we were starting to create a bunch of comments for each movie. So in our seeds file, I have this 100 times loop that creates a new movie and then saves that movie so that I can add a bunch of comments on top of that. So I fixed my validation errors. So now when I run this, it created 100 movies with different comments. So I can look at them. I can say movie.count, and you can see I have 100 movies. I can look at movie.first. I could set a variable to that using the underscore shortcut. So my A is my movie. I can say A.comments. And that will give me a collection of all the comments. So there's a bunch of those. I can say count them. I have one comment for my first movie. So to see that, I could say A.comments.first. That's my first comment associated with my movie. So you see in here, I've got my title, my author, my rating, and the movie ID is the movie. This is the foreign key that points me back to the movie ID, right? So A.ID is 162. That should be the same as this 162 here. Everybody with me on that? So on the my validation problem was on the movies. So sometimes, remember before, sometimes I'd get some nil movies, and it didn't matter because I was doing 100 of them and didn't care. But this guy cared, so I changed. I figured out where it was failing, and I changed in my movies model. I took out this length for the format. I just took it out. That was the easiest way to do it, right? So that one, because that was a decimal, and this maximum and minimum didn't really make sense on a decimal number, so I took that out. So that's all I had to do. So let's get a different movie. Let's get a movie.last and A.comments.count. He's only got one also. That's unfortunate. So I can say A.comment.first, and that gives me the comments associated with that movie. Redefine sexy. See, that's an important comment right there. All right, so let's take, now that I've generated some data, let's work through this one step at a time. And we're going to add the display of these comments on the page. On which page would we display these comments? Let's put it that way. The show page for our movies, right? So in our movies page, in our movies view, got too much stuff open here. Views, here they are. Movies, show. I would, and we already added this, right? But we just didn't have any. So I look at the particular movie I'm displaying the detail for. I look up all the comments. That's an array of what types of objects? Comment objects. So every one of those eaches is a comment object. And then I can go through and display details on each of those comment objects. All right, so now let's go and see that. So if I go to my movies, which I should add a title for this, I suppose. This will display all of my movies if I don't have to reset the stupid proxy again. Yep, I got to reset the proxy again. Isn't that nice? So pause. All right, back again. So we have our movies listed here. I can go and look at the show page for this particular movie, and it lists the movie, and then it starts to list the comments associated with that movie. So this is redefining sexy technologies. So let's go look at another one. White beard, best of breed. This one has a bunch of them. Look at that. It had a bunch of these comments. And each one has a rating. Yes?
Could you put also just above where the comments start, just put like a strong tag for comments?
Sure. Yeah, where would I put that?
You would actually put that to show.
Okay, in my show page, just above here, I can do something like maybe an H3 comments. All right, so when I reload this page, that separates out my detail with my comments. Beautiful, look at that. All right, so I can do anything I want with those. I can put the date, I can display the date in here. And there's some nice features with the date. So if I just display, like, put a P tag in here and put in the comment dot created at date and reload this guy. That gives me a date timestamp when each of these was created, right? And they're all close together because I created them using my Ruby seeds. So there's a nice feature with Rails, a program that's already written, a piece of code that's already written, called Time Ago in Words. Nice long name for a method. And I can give it the timestamp that I got from the created at date. All right, so I could say time ago in words and pass in the date that I got here. So I can say something like this. Time ago in words and pass in the created at. And it says about 4 hours, and I'd have to add something like ago. I could make that look better, right? So all of these were created 4 hours ago. I created those this morning when I got in. All right? So those are all 4 hours. So let's make this look a little nicer. I could say for every comment that I have, let's put this something like, I'm not a stylist, so I could say my time ago in words. I could say about in place of that, and then put ago, comma, comment dot author said. Oh, you're right. So I don't need the about. I knew that. Said this. Maybe put the title above that. I mean, you can style this however you want. Said this, and this is the rating. Take away this one. So let's see what that looks like. So about 4 hours ago, Jessica Frami said, yada, 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 and here's the rating. So that's pretty nice. Got a nice HR tag in between here. Beautiful.
So why would you not do that on comments
You could make this a partial if you want to do something like that. But it just makes sense that for me anyway, that it's on the same page where my show page is. And then I'm going to delete the comments show. There's no way to get to that unless you wanted to do pagination, and it gets more complicated if you want to do that. But I'm not even going to use that comments show page at all. This will get thrown away. I can just delete that, as a matter of fact. I'm never going to use that. Delete. No, I deleted it. I deleted it. You're right. You're right. Now I'm going to delete it. There we go. See? All right. So the next thing we want to do is to be able to have the user create their own comment. So again, this comes down to style, but I like to have the comment, the way for them to enter a comment at the end of all the comments, to force them to read all the comments before they just blab their mouth off. Okay, so I want them to read all the comments and then let them put their post at the end. So that's a style issue. So I need to have a form in here that allows them to post a new comment, right? So we scaffolded this, and here's a form right here for the comments, right? So I'm going to copy this out just so it's all on one page. You can obviously put this in a partial, but all right, so that's the form for creating the comments. Let's just see what it looks like. I'll probably get an error because I don't have a comment variable here yet. So I need to post this back to and this is where it gets a little complicated. I have to post it for this comment and associate it with a movie at the same time. So I need to have a comment associated with that. Where's my comment here? Well, arg. It's going to be a little more complicated than that. So let's we'll work on that later. Let's take it back out. Let's change our rating to show stars instead, and then we'll come back and do the posting of the comment tomorrow. All right, so this rating, it would be nice if that didn't display as just a number, right? This rating, we have to have stars, right? So how could I display stars in here instead of this number? There's a handy gem. No. Same way we did our histogram. Very good, very good. So we first need an asset. We need an image that is a star, right? So I'm going to go steal one off the internet, and we'll look for stars, star, and we'll look for specifically size of a icon. And those are tinier. Oh, we need to have that one. That's a good one. So, all right, so here's a nice little pirate star. Let's save it. Save it to my desktop. We'll call it star.jpg. And then let's move it into my images folder. So I just need to find my star JPEG here. Here it is. and copy it into my images folder. Okay, so now I have a star.jpg. Nice. And instead of displaying the rating, I need to have, how do I display an image? All right, so I need to output an image tag, and we want to output the star.jpg. All right, let's just do that for now. So I should get at least a single star here, right? There you go, look at that. Beautiful. All right. Yeah, you can resize it. All right, so that's one. How would I display rating times that number? Just like I said, right? So I need a bunch of these image tags, and I could just say this times comment.rating. See how much easier that is here than in PHP even? Beautiful, look at that. So what's the problem with that?
Looks like your image tag isn't repeating.
It is. As soon as I applied the multiplication, it screwed up the HTML safe part of this. So I have to do something like this. Yes? Does that seem reasonable? Resembles map. There you go. Look at our pirate stars. Isn't that great? It's beautiful stuff.
One got 5.
They're just shifted down. Yeah, that's 4 stars. They're too big. Right? So I can change the size. I can say size of it's 8 by 8, but something really small, right? That's too small. 20 by 20. Now, of course, you would never do that,
I was going to say,
right? That's bad programming because you've shipped the whole size of that image down to the browser, and then it resizes it to nothing. So you would take this into Photoshop, resize it correctly, and output the actual size, obviously. And make it transparent, clean up the background. You know, that's your problem. You guys figure that out. So I'm going to make this a little bigger, 30 by, actually, let's make it nice and binarily, 32 by 32. We got to be able to see that it's a pirate at least. Nice, beautiful. All right. So how can I now show the average of all of these comments, the average of all these ratings, up here next to the title of the blog itself? I would use math, right? So in SQL, you can do in SQL, you can do average commands on a column, right? Well, it just so happens that Rails has the same thing. And if we go and look at average of a column name, we can find the average of something, and it gives us a number back. All right? So let's go and figure out what that average is. What do we want to average out? So let's put the average rating, let's just put a P up here. And then I would output what? My movie. Then what? Dot rating. Movie doesn't have a rating. Comments. All right, that's what I want to average. And it needs for me to do that on a particular column, right? So I'm going to say movies comments dot average of the column rating. So let's see what we get back when we do that. Crash. Nah, look at that. Beautiful 2.5s is my average rating for this guy. So how can I use that to print stars instead? That's useless, right? We got to have stars. I'm not going to do half stars. I refuse to do half stars. I have to round it, right? It makes sense to round it. So I can, that's a number at this point. I can do a dot round, should be able to. And that's a number. And then what do I have to do with that? Okay, multiplied by an image, right? So we'll take our image tag down here and multiply it by that number. And call our HTML safe on it. Ta-da! It rounded 2.55523, got me 3 little pirate stars on here. I really should have 3 little cowboys, because mine's a cowboy site, right? But anyway, so let's go back to movies. Let's look at a different movie like 300. There is no movie 300. 200. It's got 3 also. That's not so much fun. All right, so it's working. It would be nice, though, since I'm calling this kind of stuff multiple times, what do you do with stuff you've called multiple times? Make it into a method, all right? So let's make it into a helper method. And so I'm going to copy this code out and replace it with a method that I'm going to call stars. And I need the number of stars to print, right? So in this case, it's going to be this value here, right? That's going to return a number eventually, right? And then inside of that, then I'm going to do this code. So I need to put that in my helper folder so that I can have access to that. And since it might be used across multiple controllers, where should I put it? My application helper. All right, application helper. So we'll create a new method in here, stars, that receives the number of stars as a variable. And it does something like this. Oh, I lost it. It's going to do something like this. It's going to return a string with a bunch of stars concatenated together, number of star times, and then called HTML safe on it. All right? So that's all that method does, but it makes it easier. Now in my show page, I'm going to replace this with just the comment rating. And we're going to call our stars method on the comment rating, like we did up here.
Is that going to work if you call an average on one and not on the other?
No. No, but you're right. That's a different problem, isn't it? Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's an interesting problem. You're right.
No, it's not. You just make the average before you pass it on the first one.
Yeah. Let's see what actually happens. I still get the numbers. The problem that it's actually, yeah, it averages as a one number, so it actually works, but it's unnecessarily doing code here. So that is what I'm doing. I'm doing the average outside. So it should be right. Maybe you're leading me astray.
You're doing the average before you send it.
Yes, which is right. See, you led me astray. So this is just printing stars, and this one is doing the average and rounding it and getting us a bigger number and then calling the stars method. All right? Beautiful, eh? See how easy that is with Rails? So tomorrow we'll actually go through, there's a little more work we have to do to get the comments form in there to post back correctly. So we'll do that tomorrow. All right. Any questions?